Okay, so back in Algebra 1 or even pre-algebra, one of the things your teacher may have asked you to do is to plot a number on a number line. So you remember, if I said plot -3 on a number line, you have to draw a line, and your Algebra 1 or pre-algebra teacher probably said, put a tick mark for 0, and then put a tick mark for numbers around 0. And then to mark the number on the number line, you put a point on that number, right? So this is the real number line, and you can plot purely real numbers on that. Now, once you get complex numbers, we have a real part and an imaginary part, right? So if we had if we had real number line, we could plot the real part, but we need to be able to plot the imaginary part as well. So if we're looking to plot a complex number, we're going to plot it on not a number line, but what's called the complex plane. Now, don't let that freak you out because this is actually a really straightforward idea. The complex plane is made up of two axes, which are basically two number lines put perpendicular to each other. The horizontal one, instead of being like an x-axis, the horizontal one is the real number axis. It's basically that real number line that we've been working with since pre-algebra. The vertical axis is an imaginary number axis. So we might, on the real number axis, have 1 and 2 and 3 and -1 and -2 and -3. On the imaginary number axis, we would have 1i and 2i and 3i, and then -i and -2i and -3i. So if I wanted to plot like a real number on the complex plane, I could. Plot 2, that would be like plotting 2 plus 0i. So I would go 2 in the real direction and 0 in the imaginary. Sorry about that. And that would end up right here. Now, if I wanted to plot a pure imaginary number, like -2i, that would be like 0 plus 2i. So I would go 0 in the real direction and -2 in the imaginary direction. So that was -2i, this is 2. And if I want to plot a complex number, like 2 plus 3i, I go 2 in the real direction and 3 in the imaginary direction. And then that is where that number falls. So to plot a complex number, you need a plane, not a real number line. Horizontal axis is real, vertical axis is imaginary, and you basically treat it like a point where you go over the amount on the real axis and then up or down the amount on the imaginary axis.